What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. I'm actually chilling outside the store. I let my daughter drive today, and so I wanted to take her to get whatever it is that she needed because she's prepping for competition. So she wanted to go do a little bit of shopping and get some things. But I'm chilling out here, and I wanted to get my thoughts off because I did a review video on After Hours. Shout out to all of my After Hours crew that's out here kicking it with me and low-key. Having a great time because that platform is absolutely awesome. Just type After Hours with Anton Daniels inside of YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. We do some great live streams over there, probably about 3 or 4 times a week. And then, but I was doing a review video of Shaq's new podcast. I guess he always had the podcast, and then he revised it or he redid it, and it's called The Big Podcast or whatever. And he was talking to Kountry and some white guy. And he was basically saying that the white guy asked Shaq, do you ever tell women and I'm paraphrasing here, do you ever tell women your deepest, darkest secrets, or do you ever put your trust in a woman? And Shaq was basically like, no. And Kountry Wayne was in agreement. And the guy kind of seemed like why or whatever. And Shaq was just like, you don't do that. Now, again, you got to consider the source, right? You're talking about Shaq, who I'm sure has had plenty of relationships. Obviously, it's been well documented that he got divorced. Talking about Kountry Wayne, all of that, right? And these guys are single, right? So for a lot of other guys, it's very fortunate that you have the internet now, because you can kind of sort of source through the information and take different sources from different guys in different walks of life. And they all can tell you and give you their opinion of where it is that they stand on this issue. And I 100% agree with them as a guy that's been married for 20 years. Now, that don't mean that you can't be successfully married. It just means that it's some things that as men, women will never understand. And I'm not looking for them to understand it, right? I'm not trying to explain it to them. The one thing that my wife in particular has always, and even my mom to an extent, has always asked from me, or is always petitioned from me, actually has been 2 things. The first thing is they always want you to spend more time, and that's natural because they're emotional creatures and they should pine for you. That's the first thing. The second thing that they've always done is, ask me to open up more to them, tell them my thoughts so they can feel more connected. Now me, I believe in love. I think that love is essential and necessary when it comes to a relationship, because if a person doesn't love you, then that means they won't do the best thing in your interest, right? And so, I think that marriage and relationships is a business first, and you should look at everything, especially as a man, from a business perspective, because you have to make the best decision possible regardless of the circumstances. When it comes back down to it, if y'all are under duress and you wind up losing y'all crib, they're not going to her and they're not going to go to her and say, hey, why did you lose your crib? You as the leader always got to make sure that you stand on your square. And so it doesn't mean that you can't trust other people, but it does mean that you have to keep some things close to your vest. And from a business perspective, I would always have to ask myself, well, what's the benefit of this, right? You know what I'm saying? Because I can't sit here and let the decisions that I make just 100% be based off of emotion. I understand connection. I understand getting to love people and all of that other stuff. And I'm with you. But I'm still trying to understand why that's such an important thing. Why is that so high on the list as far as things as necessary for a person to do in order for you to feel more connected? I never understood it. And because I can't understand it in the same way that I would never buy something that doesn't make sense for me, right? If I can't understand how it adds more value into my life in some way, shape, or form. I mean, it ain't always got to be money. It don't always have to be financial. It doesn't always have to be a come up. It could also be emotional. It could make me feel good. It could make me happy. One of the reasons why we travel is not just because, we want to do things. It's also because we want to have great experiences, and that opens up our minds to the possibilities of what if. You see what I'm saying? And so I understand it, and I need somebody to explain it to me. And when I ask people to explain it to me, mostly women, because obviously I have a show and I'm on YouTube and I talk to a lot of people and I do panels. But when I ask them to explain this to me, it's no logical reason that I've ever heard from a woman that would force me to start telling and start talking about randomly things that's not really relevant to the relationship, but ultimately it's something that I'm supposed to express that I feel that's deeper and emotional, that could also in some way, shape, or form in the future be used against me if somebody decided that they wanted to do something different. Now, obviously, I don't think that anything would ever happen, but I'm sure that it's a lot of guys that's never thought that. And when I speak, I also don't speak towards my situation. I speak for the majority, not the minority, not the anomaly, right? And I still don't understand it. Because let's just say hypothetically I shared my deepest thoughts and what goes on through my head 100% of the time. Then what? What happens then? How does that play out? What's the best case scenario? Ask yourself this, because, I'm an advocate for guys never ever making an emotional decision when they making decisions, especially business decisions. And the biggest business decision that you ever gonna make in your entire life, and it doesn't matter who it is, I don't care if you've known them since birth, the biggest decision that you ever gonna make in life is the person that you lay next to. Not the house that you buy, not the cars that you drive, not the career that you pick, not the investments that you make. The biggest business decision that you ever gonna make in your entire life is the person that you lay next to every day. And so when I really take that into consideration, I'm still trying to understand how that benefits us. Not even just me. How does that benefit us? How does that work out? And so for me, I gotta stay on the edge. You know what I'm saying? I gotta keep an edge about me. I gotta stay focused. I gotta stay on top of things. And I just never seen a reason to do that. You know what I'm saying? And that's never a knock to anybody, because I'm gonna just be honest with you. The women that's in my life and the women that's played roles in my life, they ain't never turned against me. They ain't never did nothing negative to me. They ain't never ever, you know what I'm saying, did nothing dirty. Now, of course, there's things that she knows about me that the general public in the world doesn't know. I mean, it's things that your mama know about you, whatever. I mean, when you with somebody for over 2 decades, that's just naturally gonna happen. But just every single fleeting thought that leaves out of my head, and it's even worse for y'all that ain't been with nobody that you can actually trust, that'll hold you down, that you don't feel confident that they'll make the right decision if they was ever in a position to have to make a decision health-wide on your behalf. Would they go for the money? Would they go for the life insurance money if they had to, or would they do something differently? You know what I'm saying? So when you think about that, and y'all actually around people who you didn't get it out the mud with, and they don't have no vested interest in seeing you successful outside of whatever it is that you can do for them at that particular time, they wasn't down with you when you were under duress. They wasn't down with you in the mud. It's 10 times worse. So how can I sit here advocate for you guys, just because you're getting married, or just because you're in a relationship, or just because you close with somebody at that particular time? How can I advocate for you to do something that I wouldn't do myself, especially since I've been married for 20 years? And I feel like I am successfully married. Like, I'm in a great space. Listen, bro. Don't listen to these simps. Don't listen to these guys that's trying to lead you to your demise. Listen to Uncle Anton. Let me give you the game. Let me tell you the truth, because it's not 100% sweet out here. You will absolutely, positively, in my opinion, regret your decision, because that is something that they will always have over you and hold against you. And most women, and I would say well over 95, 96, 97% of women, is not mature enough to even be able to handle that type of transparency, that type of honesty. Now, again, this is different from being honest with a woman. You can be honest, but that don't mean that you have to be 1,000% forthcoming with every single thought that passes through your mind. That's just an idiot. That's just dumb. There's nobody in the world that knows 100% of anything about anybody. It doesn't mean that you're not going to do a great job at your job, right? That doesn't mean that you're not going to be a productive citizen. That doesn't mean that you're not going to be an honest person, ethical and good and forthright and upcoming. But why do they have to have every single thought of you as a man just for you to continue to feel like a man? There's other more productive ways, in my opinion, for you to continue to use that and leverage that in order to continue to drive growth, have an edge to yourself, push yourself, be the greatest version of yourself. It's 1,000 different ways for you to continue to be awesome in that way. But you just got to get that power to a woman. And that's what's called losing your masculinity. Listen, I love you. I appreciate you. I'm curious as to what you guys think. Do you agree or do you disagree? I know that it's a lot of guys that agree because a lot of guys do it every single day, and so you show it in your actions. I just want to know, why do you do it? Because that's just not a thing for me, and it'll probably always be something of interest or something that my chick always desires. And the day that I start to open up more, I promise you guys, I'll talk about it here because I live my life like an open book, and you guys will be the first to know. But until then, I just got to be honest with you. I got to be transparent. It's a way for you to be successfully married, be in a great space, and maintain a level of masculinity. That's not for everybody. It's just not for everybody. I love you. I appreciate you guys. I'm interested in seeing what you guys think. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Teach Hanley 30% off your first order plus a free gift. I'm out.